What's your best conspiracy theory for the COVID-19 outbreak? A fortnight is 14 days. Quarantine recommendation is 14 days. Coincidence? I think not. The makers of Fortnite are behind it all. When schools close, where will those kids flock to fill that time? Netflix released it to make people watch TV more. Pornhub is working with them. That's why they're giving all of Italy free premium memberships. Once this all clears up and everyone is hooked to that premium porn, there's no going back to the free stuff. Chinese government released it in a limited way from their Wuhan research facility to squelch the Hong Kong protests. I consider this one as well. I mean, think about it. The main preventative messaging is to limit large social gatherings and human contact. It was designed to be a viral weapon to attack other nations, but they went all Umbrella Corp, had an outbreak, and now we are fucked. Further evidence is that the scientists/doctors in China that spoke about it died. I'll preface this by saying that I don't genuinely believe this, but if we are going to accept the conspiracy theory that coronavirus was released deliberately by the Chinese government, I believe that their motivations are different. As a result of the one-child policy, China has a rapidly aging population and was heading for financial ruin when the current working generation, their largest generation ever, reached retirement age. So they released the virus, which targeted almost exclusively the elderly, thus bringing down the average age and reducing the potential future burden on their social state. Also, isn't the collapse of the economy associated with the pandemic going to be good for China in the long run? I heard someone say Greta Thunberg created the virus since people won't pollute as much, working from home and not traveling. Gotta give some points for originality. I've been waiting to hear someone blame Greta. We actually are living in a simulation, and some programmer's kid wanted to play Plague Incorporated. We are currently in the phase where the kid unlocked plane and boat transmission and is saving up points to mutate the virus into something that turns people into crazy Ebola zombies once most of the planet is infected. Trump and Pence are both infected, but are keeping it a secret because the next in line is Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Trump looked visibly different last night during the speech. The polar ice caps melted, and inside was the coronavirus, frozen until now. Nature finding a way to balance itself, or Mother Nature giving the human race a slap for trashing her planet. The San Antonio Spurs, knowing they would miss the 2020 NBA playoffs for the first time in 22 years, created the virus so that the NBA season would be cancelled. Can't miss the playoffs if there are no playoffs. The Raptors trying to retain their championship. Crazy dude in work said he prayed for something bad to happen to China because they have a poor record in terms of animal welfare, and a week later COVID-19 broke out. The one time God decides to listen. What the duck? It's a plot from Big Toilet Paper. They claim people are hoarding TP due to the pandemic, and from there it's self-fulfilling. People hear people are hoarding TP, so they must get their hands on a bunch before everybody else does. Big Toilet Paper Mayo. That's not a moniker you hear often. We all end up killing our immune systems with excessive hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes, and the planet is killed off by a simple cold. I heard one that said that the lab workers in Wuhan were selling experimented on meat instead of disposing of it properly, and that's how it got out. It's simple enough that it's somewhat realistic, although I don't immediately believe anything. I would entertain it as possible. COVID-19 is a test move to see how the real pandemic will go down, or they are using this as a control to have people self-quarantine, effectively creating a global control. Okay, that's all I've got, haha. Well, if we are going full-blown conspiracy here, it'd say that the possibility that it affects men's reproductive health is very messed up, and makes me think it may have been engineered to do so, perhaps to limit the growing world population. or it could be a virus that escaped a lab due to improper or incomplete containment procedures. Either way, I don't believe the bad soup story at all. It started from the licking the ice cream trend. Considering how much of a positive impact the reduction of air traffic must have on the CO2 levels, it must be the climate activists who brought us the virus. Miller Brewing Company is behind it. They are using the coronavirus to destroy their competition. They'll be going after Budweiser. The COVID-19 outbreak is a US government created and distributed disease. The end goal is for so many Americans to get infected that Mexico will want to pay for the wall, like it was planned all along. The virus is man-made and cell phones produce a radiation that keep the virus dormant and undetectable, which is why only older people who don't live by their cell phones and people who get off planes, they had their cell phone off for long enough for the virus to activate, seem to be dying. But once they get us all quarantined at home, they will cut off cell phone service, causing mass panic and the virus to activate. We won't be able to tell who lives or dies, and will be told not to leave our homes, or we will be shot. This one is brilliant. D. It was designed to wipe out boomers, to cull the base of Trump supporters, and make millennials the largest voting bloc, so Sanders wins in November. Coronavirus actually infects the brain and makes you want to travel. Because it came from bats, it make you want to fly all over the place. Coronavirus was a lab-made bioweapon created by Hong Kong University professor. The Hong Kong professor realized the danger of this virus and never published the discovery. His son followed his footsteps and attended the same university as he worked, Chinese University of Hong Kong. In 2019, his son was killed during the Hong Kong protests. In a moment of grief and anger, the professor replicated the virus, flew to Wuhan, and went to the biggest market, and sprayed virus on every table, handrail, doorknob he could find. I smell a sitcom. In a panic over his impeachment, when the Iran fiasco didn't go as planned, Trump authorized a COVID plan for maximum China diversion to both grab headlines and attention, but also to hurt China regarding future trade deals. Now that he got the first part signed, he needs China to be in a weak position for more leverage later, and diversion. So the CIA biological weapons plan was set into action after Hong Kong protest operations failed to gain enough traction. Operatives were sent in with a pandemic that the US has already engineered a cure for. See the recent trade deal on pharmaceutical acknowledgement by China. The operatives released the pandemic and are monitoring its spread. It is setting off the pandemic and negative global perception of China, while discouraging trade/travel, hurting the Chinese economy. Eventually Trump will announce he has a team working on a vaccine, and he's hoping that this will distract from the impeachment, project him as a protector of America/savior of the globe/ and also position China to be very weak and submissive in the final trade negotiation. I know you've probably been murdered by now, but thanks for the truth, rogue agent. Just gov's population control. Govs around the world engineer/manipulate their own viruses to kill off the weak people in society. Less welfare, more bombs mindset. Last time US gov did this to its population was the H1N1 virus of 09. The announcement of Tom Hanks testing positive is purely a PR move to soothe the anxious masses. Choose a visible, universally liked American to have the virus. Show that he doesn't die, later reveal some modest symptoms, have him complete quarantines without incident, and help people put a face to actually dealing with being infected. Not to mention, he's been through this before. He knows how to handle a quarantine. Just makes me wonder if the PR move was to soothe anxious masses or increase volleyball sales. For the most up-to-date and accurate information related to this crisis, please get your most up-to-date information from a trusted source such as the World Health Organization. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like more, Please like, comment and subscribe.